This, folks, is an Nvidia GT 705. Man, I wish it was a 710. Be careful what you wish for. When I said at the end of my GT 705 video that you shouldn't buy one, and that you should get at least a 710, even if you have to save up longer to get it, I expected some pushback, for someone to ask me to put my money where my mouth is. Well, I guess I don't have that big of an audience yet, and you must all just be too nice to argue with me. Anyway, I decided I was going to take it upon myself to answer the challenge set by myself and see if the still extremely underpowered video adapter is in fact a better purchase than the 705 or its predecessor, the 610. This particular version of the card is the 1GB DDR3 version, meaning 1, it actually belongs in the 700 series and is based on actual Kepler architecture rather than regurgitated Fermi, and 2, Sex owes me a refund as the description said it was a GDDR5 version. Regardless, this display adapter is not a gaming card, so I'm expecting to be letting myself in for a world of pain. So let's kick things off with Fortnite in performance mode, and hang on, no, wait, this is DX11. Well, something's clearly gone wrong as it looks like Alex from Low Spec Game has been let loose on it. In actual performance mode we get our LODs back, as well as a pretty mediocre 32 FPS average and 1% lows of 18. Rocket League was at least a better time on the 710 than the 705, and as always the 1% low scores are usually from goal explosions or new players entering the game. The 46 FPS averages made for a playable enough experience, though only at the lowest quality settings. Valorant was genuinely disappointing here. Not that 35 FPS is completely unplayable, though you will find it hard to be competitive in deathmatch, but I've definitely seen better performance from even Intel's iGPUs here. Well, I mean, Valheim running at 13 FPS is technically a 1200% improvement over the GT 705, but yeah, still bad. Cyberpunk 2077 wouldn't want you to see it like this. It would rather you remember it as it was, back when I benchmarked it on an RX 6700 XT at over 100 FPS. The GT 710, alas, gives an utterly pathetic 5 FPS. Funny story, in my first test of Warzone using the practice mode, it took so long to get through the beginning of the airplane sequence, which I should point out is pre-rendered, that I ended up almost dying to the gas before I'd even jumped out of the plane. 7 FPS. Yeah. Well, that all pretty much sucked. I wasn't pleased with the results and couldn't really think of much good to say except that Yeah, it's better than the 705, and being shot to death sure is better than being drowned. So I did something I don't usually do. I started moving the sliders about in Afterburner. I don't usually overclock cards for a number of reasons, but I'd heard that people were getting some insane numbers with minimal effort on GT 710s. Sure enough, after a little cautious tinkering, and then some much less cautious tinkering, I managed to get a stable 375 MHz boost to both the core and memory clocks, meaning for an over 35% increase. Of course, this doesn't always translate into a proportional increase in performance, so I was prepared to be disappointed. I wasn't prepared for a 50% leap in performance in Fortnite. With 1% lows grazing 30 FPS and averages almost at 50? This is very, very good. Rocket League's performance boost is insane, giving well over 60% higher averages than stock speeds. This is, dare I say, playable? Valorant also gained almost 50% more performance, jumping to 51 average and 41 lows. This is still absolute agony for a fast-paced shooter, but so much better than before, and all it took was moving a couple of sliders. Technically, Valheim's FPS did improve by almost 40%, though sadly this still wasn't enough to make this a playable experience. Though, well, it is still in development and maybe future optimizations will help. What, you were expecting a miracle? Get out of here. Skip to the next part. Nothing to see here. I mean, if you need an excuse as to why you suck at Warzone, you might as well blame your graphics card, right? Oh, and to top it all off, you probably have to deal with the blocky shadow bug that Kepler cards suffer from nowadays. That was a pretty radical twist in the tale there. I guess my conclusion is, well, still under no circumstances spend actual money on a GT 710 unless you have absolutely no better alternatives. And even then, make sure you don't get the DDR3 version. But if you own one already, why not try overclocking it? There's not going to be a hard and fast rule about how far you can go. I haven't really looked too much into this, so I might have gotten lucky with a 375 MHz on both core and VRAM, but you might find that you get a golden sample that can clock even higher, The best practice I can suggest is installing Combustor and running Firmark in the background. Start at plus 100 MHz on the core and then go up in 25 MHz increments, leaving it running for a few minutes at a time. In what I can only assume was a pricing error, I picked up this card from CEX for £14 delivered, only £2 more than I paid for the GT 705 in April of 2021. For that price, it's not the worst purchase ever, but, well, prices are tricky things. A new GT 710, yes, you can still buy them, will set you back £35. And at that price, it looks much less appealing compared to an array of better cards available for £50 or less. But if this is your only option, you could do worse. Still, I think I'm going to follow my father's advice and pull out before I regret it. Thanks for watching, kindly do the usual YouTube things if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you next time.